and of course beyond our borders. But first, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight. David Mwauri unveils a Agano Party 12-point manifesto ahead of the general elections. Presidential candidates advance the vote and to win the hearts of the electorates. There comes ahead of the August polls. Reprieve for Sonko as Mombasa High Court bans IEBC from printing ballot papers for Mombasa polls. On our special feature tonight, we take a look into the world of protection and guard dogs training.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome to the broadcast. I'm not alone. I'm with the company of Sharon Wamboy, who is our side language interpreter tonight. Now we're streaming live this broadcast on our social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, on Twitter, KUTV_Kenya. It's also live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. The Kenya Kwanza Coalition today took their campaigns to Meru County. That is on a political note where the presidential candidate Dr. William Ruto promised to change the economy by ensuring that products and services are lowered so that every Kenyan is able to feed their families. He also promised to support small businesses, saying that all work is important at every levels.
Presidential candidate William Ruto, together with his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, today based the Kenya Kwanza campaigns in Meru County on a vote hunting mission. The presidential candidate has promised residents a reversal from the economic breakdown, accusing his opponent Raila Odinga as being the cause for the high cost of living.
Bei ya mambo ya fertilizer ilikuwa shilingi 2,800. Leo imefika shilingi 6,500. Kitendawili ametukosea, hajatukosea.
William Ruto has also promised to show support to the small business owners, terming it kazi ni kazi, meaning all work is work. He said that he will set aside 50 billion shillings to support the small businesses in the country.
Tunaweka bilioni 50 kusaidia biashara ya watu wa chini. Watu wa mitumba, watu wa mamamboga, watu wa bodaboda, ili tuinue biashara ya kila mtu, kwa sababu kazi ni kazi na Kenya ni yetu sisi zote.
Ruto's deputy Rigathi Gachagua also held the vote hunting mission, promising that they will lower the prices of basic commodities such as flour and fertilizer so that Kenyans are able to feed their families. He urged the Meru people to turn out on the August 9th to vote out for William Ruto as the next coming president.
Uko na nafasi ya kuchagua kiongozi akuje apunguze bei ya unga. Tarehe ngapi?
With the August elections drawing closer, the Kenya Kwanza has maintained a lead in holding multiple campaigns to ensure that they acquire victory in the next coming election. Joy Pauline, KUTV.
President Uhuru Kenyatta today commissioned a panel of eminent persons for the county peer review mechanisms to henceforth and for the next 3 years help steer county peer reviews. Members of the panel of the eminent persons for the county peer reviews mechanism, whose role will be to ensure the reviews are objective, effective and credible, include Professor Olive Mugenda, Bishop Emeritus Eliud Wabukala, Ambassador Rukia Ahmed Subo and Dr. John Kakonge. The eminent personalities will be charged with the responsibility of discussing with the individual governors the findings arising from the peer reviews and how they will be implemented for the benefit of local citizens, as well as serve the oversight instruments for the members of the county assemblies and the houses of parliament. Now, still on the political note, it is a reprieve for one Mike Sonko after the Mombasa High Court banned the electoral body IEBC from printing ballot papers as well as gazetting names of the candidates vying for Mombasa County gubernatorial seat. In a ruling made today, the court also stopped Wiper Party from fronting any candidate to replace Sonko in contention of the county's top seat.
Mombasa gubernatorial aspirant Mike Sonko is breathing easier after a three-judge bench in Mombasa High Court barred Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC from publishing and gazetting names of Mombasa County gubernatorial candidates. This comes few days after Sonko sued Mombasa County Returning Officer Swala Yusuf and IEBC, accusing them of causing interference in the county's gubernatorial race. The three-judge bench appointed by Chief Justice Martha Koome also ordered an immediate halt in printing ballot papers for the Mombasa County Governor position, as well as binding Sonko's Wiper Party from nominating a different candidate to contest for the race come August. Former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko's Mombasa gubernatorial bid continues to take twists and turns upon continued questioning of his suitability to occupy any office by different individuals and institutions. Sonko is seeking to overturn IEBC Dispute Resolution Committee's decision to bar him from vying for the seat. With the court ruling in his favor today, the race remains raw, with much expected to unfold in the next few days. Kevin Omondi, KUTV.
And now the who's facing the super senator who's eyeing the Nairobi top seat, Senator Johnson Sakaja. He now claims that the petitioner seeking his disqualification from the Nairobi gubernatorial race of the validity of his academic papers is a malicious machinery on a political witch hunt. The embattled legislator in court papers filed in response to the case lodged by Dennis Gakuwa Home argues that the case, which had us dragged out for weeks, is now engineered by unnamed powerful forces to publicly humiliate him. Wahome had asked the court to temporarily block the commission from including Sakaja's name on the ballot paper because his degree from Team University Uganda is not authentic. And the nominated MP, David Sankok, has announced his retirement from active politics. Mr. Sankok, in an interview with a local news outlet, said that he is not seeking any elective seat in the upcoming general elections, to instead focus on his personal businesses. The nominated MP, who is known for his bright green attire with national flag stripes, and who also represents persons living with disabilities in the National Assembly. However, that noted that he will still keep fighting for the rights of the group. There are many reasons to want to have a dog: for personal protection, to keep your property safe, or a living doorbell for when a visitor arrives. And unfortunately, guard dogs often get a bad reputation for being vicious or dangerous. But that is not entirely accurate. In reality, the very same traits that make these breeds the best protectors also make them incredible family pets. Our reporter Samson Jura takes us through the world of protection and guard dog training with Wax K9 Academy.
Sunday, 13th June 2022, Kandisi, Ongata Rongai, Kajiado County. The woman seen on the CCTV footage being attacked by 6 men armed to the teeth as she drives into her compound will forever have in her memory a time she once was fear-stricken and in total shock etched in her mind. This is just one of many incidents reported in the media of home invasion, burglary, carjacking, and kidnappings. In many cases, people have been killed or acquired life-changing injuries.
Okay, guys, watch him.
Dog training is now commonplace in many parts of the world. Not only are dogs trained to be obedient and well-behaved, they can also be trained for personal protection and guard work. According to Oscar Ochieng-Wakuloba, owner of Utawala-based Wax Canine Academy, a fully trained canine would neutralize the threat posed by robbers as seen in the Rongai video.
Good boy, finish him. House.
Oscar is a dog breeder, protection, guard work, anti-carjacking and sniffer dog trainer certified by the East African Kennel Club. He has worked with dogs for years, helping people feel safe while acquiring a companion. Today we are going to talk about what it takes to achieve the ideal protection dog.
So with the working line selection, it starts from the breeding. You choose a working line male, you choose a working line female, you breed the two. But behind the breeding, you must know what you are putting into the gene pool, what you are putting in the offspring. If you are breeding a working line dog, then you should know, like this is a pedigree certificate from the East African Kennel Club. You should know what you are breeding what. For here, we have just as an example, Kilele Hobby is a shoreline dog, but the genetics of that dog are very strong in terms of protection. So when it was bred to this other beach, which is mine, which has both working line and shoreline, they produced big, aggressive, and stable temperament and dogs with good nerves of protection. Now, identification of a proper protection dog when it starts from puppyhood, because you can also do a selection when they are adults. When you start from, you're talking about from puppyhood, you're supposed to check to look at the nerves of the dog. And with the nerves of the dog, you must look at the parents. Everything starts from the parents and the grandparents and the great-grandparents. Now, you look at the nerves of the parents, which will be reflected in the puppies. You look at, and with nerves, you're talking about two things. It's either having stable nerves or unstable nerves. Then you also look at the temperament of the dog. Temperament simply means the general well-being of the dog. The dog thinks, the dog behaves in front of people, kind of things. Then you also look at spoken about nerves, temperament, and the drives. So with the drives, there are different drives. So like if you're choosing a protection dog, a protection candidate, that is from puppyhood, then you're looking at a dog which has in terms of drives, a dog which has what you call the fight drive, then a dog which has a good defense drive, a dog which has stable nerves. And there's a way of testing which you're going to demonstrate here with the puppies that you have here from the pedigree lines.
Some of the dog breeds used for protection and guard work around the world include the German Shepherd dog that has gained popularity over the years in the African continent, the Belgian Malinois, the Doberman Pinscher, the Rottweiler, and the South African Boer Bull, just to name a few. These breeds are also used by the military and police for search and rescue operations. Majorly, they are referred to as the canine units. These are Boer puppies that in a couple of months will begin training for obedience, protection, and guard work. Oscar has begun socializing them with his kids and subjecting them to everyday noises and environment to achieve stability. These dogs have to get along with other family members to whom they protect, just like Bishop, Oscar's family Boer Bull, who is twice the size of his son.
So this boy here, he's 1 year, 7 months old. He's called Bishop. Bishop is our own bred Boer Bull. So this is my son Shmaya. Shmaya can handle this dog. But when the need arises, the same dog will be able to protect him or myself. Yeah. You see, the handling is very easy, without any issue. The dog is not nervous. Yeah. It's very okay with him. Ah!
Here is Bishop in action. This is a bite suit used to train dogs on bite work by demonstrating scenarios of attacks by criminals. A dog only attacks on command. Here we see how Stipe, a GSD, reacts during a carjacking scenario.
Watch him, boy. Kid boy, fish him.
Now, I wanted to understand how the work of protection dogs, training of protection dogs is done. And because of security reasons and of course, safety. I've done this suit which weighs around half my size, and I'm going to be attacked by a German Shepherd so that you can be able to see how this works. Of course, my heart is racing, but let's see how it goes.
Other tools and equipment used in teaching obedience include an electric collar used to send vibration and stimulations to achieve the correction and obedience desired, a prong collar used for aggressive dogs, a leash, a bite sleeve, a whip, a sausage bite tag, ball and latex Kong. It's only with the right equipment that one can achieve the ideal protection dog. Oscar advises that it is costly to maintain a dog, though this is based on breed of choice. But the question remains, how much do you value your security?
So training for Bobus and Rottweilers, we charge from 50K depending on the level of training. So by the time the dog lives here and is ready to work in your compound or work as a personal protection dog, then you're looking at, on the lower side, if it's a Bobull or a Rottweiler, you're looking at 150, 170. Yeah, that is depending on the level of training that will have been put into that dog.
Stop!
In a world of order, owning a weapon may not be the best idea for protecting oneself and family, but some experts say the best line of protection for you, your family and property has 4 legs.
Good.
And a tail. Samson Jura, KUTV.
And now back to the political scene. Agano Party presidential candidate David Wahiga today launched his manifesto ahead of the August 9th general elections. More is the final presidential candidate to present his blueprint for the country. Among his key agenda, should he emerge victorious, is to get rid of corruption, as Ann Odida now reports.
Agano Party's presidential hopeful David Mwaure on Monday presented key policies he would implement should he clinch power in the August 9 polls. The Agano Party manifesto, dubbed Badilisha, which translates to change in the English language, seeks to start on a clean slate, measuring on 12 pledges. The 12 include Agano to the Constitution, the family, women, youth, persons living with disability, county governments, workers, business owners, the economy, religious institutions, the environment, as well as Agano to the international community.
We are looking at a minimum of $1 trillion to farmers for fertilizer and all that. We are looking at a minimum of $1 trillion towards free education.
In his plan for Kenyan workers, he has pledged a general waiver of 50% pay, as well as conducive environment for the private sector, individuals and others to set up businesses in a bid to boost entrepreneurship.
In our opening speech, we shall officially reduce the pay that's paid by Kenyans by 50% to enable Kenyans have some money with themselves, be able to meet their expenses.
His main goal being to eradicate corruption in the country, Mwaure seeks to follow and return all Kenyans' wealthy illegals stashed abroad that he says now estimates to 20 trillion Kenyan shillings.
We know the scarcity of truth in this nation has been unmanageable. We figured out that in the last 20 years, including the last 5 and the last 10, we have lost in this Kenya. It's somewhere, it's not completely lost. Not less than 60 trillion Kenya shillings.
The current state of the Kenyan economy that has left Kenyans stashed in poverty has also been a key point in his manifesto in what he seeks to bring solution by eradicating corruption.
And my manifesto, and our manifesto with my running mate, is a corruption fighting and a return our money candidature into our economy so that we can do catch up and allow we can at least try to catch a little with the others.
Mwaure becomes the 4th and the final presidential candidate to launch his manifesto after the other 4 presidential hopefuls presented their plans for the country. Ann Odida, KUTV.
Thank you. All right, now it's 23 minutes past the top of the hour. It's time we take our first break here on KUTV Primetime News. The moment shall be coming back with the discussion of the night. So stay with us. See you in a moment.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Tunaambiwa kwamba mwanadamu anafariki. Je, kufa kwaje kwake kuna kuaje? Anakufa vipi? Ni nani anayemuua? Anayetoa roho. Na kitolewa roho kwa sababu kiwiliwili kiko pale. Hiyo roho huwa inaenda wapi? Au kunafanyika nini hasa? Kwa ni swali la msingi sana, na tutajaribu kiasi Mwenyezi Mungu atakavyotuwezesha tuweze kumjibu swali kama hili inshallah biidhnillah.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Tunaambiwa kwamba mwanadamu anafariki. Je, kufa kwaje kwake kuna kuaje? Anakufa vipi? Ni nani anayemuua? Anayetoa roho. Na kitolewa roho kwa sababu kiwiliwili kiko pale. Hiyo roho huwa inaenda wapi? Au kunafanyika nini hasa? Kwa ni swali la msingi sana, na tutajaribu kiasi Mwenyezi Mungu atakavyotuwezesha tuweze kumjibu swali kama hili inshallah biidhnillah.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Imagine living in a society that embraces social justice and equal opportunities for all. On Woman Crush Wednesday, Rise Today, we bring you experts for meaningful conversations on matters gender equality.
Mimi nasaona hakuna gender equality as we speak.
So we continuously work with the men.
I feel that they're judging the girl.
Parenthood.
Mind is very important in infertility.
Mental and physical health.
You need to be surrounded by a proper network.
After nimeanza healing process, nilikumbuka kuhusu boys na wase wenye niliacha ghetto. Like kila wakati nilikuwa najaribu kutafuta mbinu yenye naweza wafikishie ujumbe.
I feel like if you have 15 minutes, if you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever amount of time, use it, because any physical activity is beneficial. No physical activity is dangerous for you.
And we touch on current affairs.
marrying is a journey. It means you're taking a journey together.
I'm dying to be different. Changamoto ziko, but you can't sit there saying, oh, mimi nitafanya mziki siku wenye dozi takampe.
You look at this person and you're like, wow, they just woke up and they found themselves here. Join us every Wednesday morning at 7 to 10 a.m. here on Rise Today Woman Crush Wednesday. I am your host, Nina Gikunda.
Things you know are right. Nothing worth the gain you attain by sudden flight. Don't you know that I still care for you? Me flip flop, got me needing more and more of you. Gonna be the one to catch you.
Far East, welcome to the empire. Far East, we call it find true love. You will see what your love has done for me.
Wanangojea siku hiyo yenye furaha ajabu. Machungu yote yatakwisha, mambo yote yatakuwa ni mapya. Tukutane paradiso, tukutane enzini mbinguni. Baada ya dhiki za hapa ulimwenguni tukutane.
Safina inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Hivi sasa ni saa 2 Ijumaa usiku badala ya saa 3 kamili juu ya alama, due to public demand. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
Natamani kufika pale, mji mzuri ajabu wapendeza. Hakuna mfano wa mazuri yajayo, jitahidi ufike mbinguni juu. Siku yaja tutasahau yale yote yanayotuhuzunisha. Tumeahidiwa na Mungu.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us on KTV Primetime News. Now, continuing the bulletin, leaders from Garissa County have urged the government to heed to their plea in establishing security following the spate of attacks by bandits that have so far claimed the lives of 2 residents. Caroline Kimwele joins us from the North County.
Sasa watu wetu wanawawa kila siku na tumeongea kwa serikali kila siku, na kuna hata mara NTV ilikuja hapa, tume information iko na hakuna kitu ilifanyika.
Kila siku tuko na shida, kwa hivyo tunataka serikali tusaidie. Mbuzi 1850 imeenda jana na haikurudishwa. Nasikia kuna fununu iko mahali inaitwa Kombola, kuna mbuzi iko huko, ingine na iko banda ya Bilgish.
Yeah, the government is lying on one side. We are Kenyans. We are Kenyans. We are not from Somalia. We obey the constitution. So, does the government want to take arms? Cannot take arms. We have, I don't know what can I do.
Leaders have urged the government, emergency management organs as well as other humanitarian.
And a family from Baringo County is decrying negligence at the Baringo County Referral Hospital after their kin succumbed due to alleged negligence. Dorcas Jipkemoi, the deceased, was taken to Baringo Referral Hospital for treatment, but according to the family members, she would have to bear through a painful 3 hours with no one to attend to her.
Dorcas Jepkemoi was brought to the Baringo County and Referral Hospital at 4 p.m. yesterday with asthmatic condition, and for nearly 4 hours, no one attended to her after being admitted. According to Esther Konkon, a relative, she tried reaching out to medics when the situation worsened, but there were no doctors around to help attend to the patient till she succumbed to her ailments.
Akawekwa kwa kitanda, akarushwa kwa kitanda na amewekea tu hiyo drip na watu wakaenda. Sisi tumekaa kutoka saa 11, saa 12, saa 1, saa 1:30 akaanza kusidiwa ili aweze breathe. Hakuna daktari hata mmoja kwa hiyo hospitali. Nimesunguka hii ward yote. Nimeenda maternity ward, nimeenda ward 4, nimeenda ward 2, nimeenda hadi huko chini outpatient kutafuta daktari. Hakuna daktari hadi mmoja. Na hii si kesi ya kwanza kupoteza mtu hapa, ama si ya ni several times tumekuja na mgonjwa hapa na hatuwezi rudi na yeye. Anakuja na anapass.
A visit by the media inside the ward revealed her lifeless body covered on her admission bed with no nurse or doctor present. It would later be learned that they were off for the weekend. In the waiting room, sick patients were restless, some sleeping on the benches with no one to attend to them, with hospital guards patrolling helpless as patients writhed in pain. Beside the lifeless body of Dorcas were other patients so scared with hours past her lifeless corpse beside them. The situation confirming the numerous complaints from the members of the public.
Nilete hospitali na kakuta kukaa kwa pension huko kwa line outpatient. Akakaa huko karibu masaa 3. Alafu hakuna mtu, daktari alikuwa hakuna. Anakaa mpaka naletwe na kuta kuwekwa kwa kitanda. Na akaenda. Sasa hii hospitali ni ya nini? Sinabatani kupungwa alafu watu najua hakuna hospitali.
A call for the immediate closure of the hospital has been made should the present state that has seen it christened the hospital of death and not of healing find no remedy. Rose Wanjiru, KUTV.
And Martha Karua led Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition campaigns in Narok County, promising to fight graft once they are elected to office. Her counterpart Kalonzo Musyoka also campaigned in Tharaka Nithi County, where he slammed Ruto over his grandstand with President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition deputy presidential flag bearer Martha Karua led the coalition campaigns in Narok County in a quest to garner more votes come August. While addressing the residents of Narok, Karua claimed that the Azimio government will tackle corruption, which is a major problem that drags the country behind.
Tulikuwa kazini, tulikomesha hiyo ufisadi na tunamwahidi tukiingia sisi ndio kiboko ya wafisadi wote. Na tukisema tutapambana na ufisadi, wacha kulia ukifikiria ni wewe tumetaja. Hakuna mama amebatiza mtoto wake mfisadi. Wewe ndio unachagua kuwa mfisadi.
On the other side, the coalition's principal Wiper Democratic Movement leader Kalonzo Musyoka took the Azimio One Kenya campaigns to Tharaka Nithi County, where he criticized Deputy President William Ruto on his grandstand with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Kalonzo says Ruto should stop lying to the country over his alleged protection of the president after retirement. He added that the anger that Ruto has displayed publicly shows an intolerant leader who cannot be trusted with power.
I want to answer Naweke wazi. A retired president of the Republic of Kenya is given protection under the law. Mimi ni wakili. Na hata dada Martha Karua ni wakili kama mimi. Sio Ruto kuja huku mitaani vichochoroni kusema Uhuru nitakulinda. A retired president of this country is given protection under the law.
Kalonzo claimed that Azimio One Kenya coalition presents to the country a mature, tolerant and law-abiding leadership that will protect senior citizens as well as the common mwananchi.
Kwa hivyo mimi mkimsaidia Raila awe president, ujue Kalonzo ni prime minister. Niwaambia ni kwa afadhali kushinda kuliko Kindiki. Kidhuri yeye yake ni kuhesabu kura ya Ruto. Wangapi Wangapi basi niwaulize kwa heshima watampigia Raila na Martha Karua kura? Wangapi nataka nione? Mkifanya hivyo, Kalonzo amekuwa prime minister.
With only 35 days left to the August 9th polls, Azimio One Kenya coalition continues to intensify their campaigns countrywide to win the August polls by a big margin. Starting tomorrow, the coalition will hold rallies in Nyeri, Kiambu, Kirinyaga and Kakamega counties respectively to hunt for votes. Kevin Omondi, KUTV.
Ahead of the August polls, Kenyans have expressed enthusiasm in sending to office new leaders with anticipations of positive changes in their life dimensions. It is an election that will witness the highest number of first-time voters who will certainly have the debut effect in the process. And the greatest question is, who are the right leaders to send to the office on the polls day, and what are the attributes of good leaders? And that forms the basis of our discussion tonight. And joining me is the mentor Austin Omanya, who is a leadership coach. Thank you so much, Austin, for dedicating your time for this discussion.
And thank you for inviting me here again.
All right, now into the discussion and looking at our country, Kenya, of course, starting from the top leadership, that is of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, Dr. William Ruto. And we saw what ensued over the weekend, the public exchange that was there between the two top leaders. So how would you describe the state of this nation in terms of leadership?
Wow, thank you so much. That is a wonderful question. Right now, as we speak, there's a void, there's a gap, there's leadership disparity in this nation.
Mm-hmm.
And the cause of this is because of masculinity. We call it political masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
that is exercised between different leaders. Actually, I tell you, as we stand right now,
Mm-hmm.
you can see clearly that we don't have opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going haywire, and there's nobody that can stand between the gap of the government and the people who chose that particular government.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a leadership gap, and this is affecting our country negatively,
Mm-hmm.
in such a way that the common man feel the pinch at all the angles.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do something, even before August.
Right.
We have to do something.
All right.
Yes.
Now, from what actually ensued over the weekend, what so came out so clamorous was the issue of DP Ruto almost slapping his boss in the 2017 repeat polls. Now, the opponents banked on these statements. Of course, these revelations, of course, they were banking heavily on these sentiments, using them to attack, of course, probably the other camp. So, to destroy, of course, Ruto on the electorate. So, what lies ahead of leadership career of the DP, of course, now that such things are coming out? What do you foresee of the, the future leadership of the deputy president?
Well, practically or basically, what I can say is that I used to admire DP Ruto so much. One thing I love with Ruto is that this guy is very aggressive.
Sure.
Ruto is very creative, and Ruto can be a very strong leader for this nation. However, when they were given the mandate by the Kenyans to serve the interest of Kenyans, something happened in the port, and maybe the temperatures in the port were overwhelming, and he jumped off the ship before they reached the promised land.
Right.
Right? So, the major problem we've witnessed is the battle between the Ruto, the DP, and his boss.
Right.
And it has come to public domain. Yep. Why? Because at one time you saw President Uhuru Kenyatta saying to him directly that when tangatanga ukiona Ruto akitangatanga mahali, then you can tell him this and that. Right? That could have told you that this guy, he is not playing his role so well.
Right.
He left playing his mandate long before they could deliver the 10 years Kenyans gave them. For that case, Ruto, by now, what we could be talking about is Ruto the fifth.
Right.
But as things stand, things may be very tough for him. Why? Because of that disagreement with his boss, it has negative impact there. I'm telling you today, if Uhuru Kenyatta could have said, Ruto Tosha, I'm telling you there is no election.
Sure.
Ruto could have been the 5th president by now. But his political career will be affected. I'm telling you, Ruto may not become the president of this nation, but he will be the best opposition leader I'm seeing. So Ruto is not out of politics. Even if he doesn't get the presidential seat, I'm very sure Ruto will not come out of politics. And Ruto is one person you cannot underestimate. But for now, the 49 rules of power, he actually breached one. He wanted to outsmart his boss. And you can't do that while in the office. And that has really affected Ruto and his team so much. So it is not going to be very easy for him.
Anyway, what you said is going to be active in politics, of course, on keeping the government on toes.
Exactly. And I see another thing, Ruto coming in with massive numbers of legislators, the MPs, even the MCs, because right now as we speak, UDA is very powerful on the ground.
Right.
And it is the most popular party, which means if this guy could have just, talked nicely to his boss and deliver the mandate as they had, sat down and planned about this country, with his boss. Right now, we could be speaking a different story.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Now, in the wake of all this, of course, we also had President Uhuru Kenyatta urging Kenyans to make the right choice, of course, when electing the next president. And of course, now this the question that revolves on the top seat. Now, you as a leadership coach, you're a coach of leaders, looking at how the manifestos, of course, of these presidential candidates. What necessarily should the electors consider when they're at the ballot, making the choice of whoever becomes the next president?
Wow, that is amazing. And I think last time when I was here, I spoke about the same. And the same content is what I want to air out today again. In 1789, somebody called George Washington. I don't know whether you heard his story. He's one best man I admire so much. No wonder my mother gave me the name George as my first name. He said one thing, that where there is no vision, there is no hope. The Bible also records in Proverbs 29, verses 18, that where there is no vision, people perish. It is high time the young people of this nation should stand and say, no, enough is enough. Politicians have used young people enough and for ages. The other day I was in another county during the weekend, and then I was asking young people, guys, what are you going for? Are you going for, political parties, choosing people based on political parties, or you are going to choose visionary leaders who can deliver this big county?
Right.
Then they were telling us, no, as long as you have money. You see, if our youth is still reasoning with that perception, then I'm telling you, we still have another generation, maybe in the future, to deliver this country from corrupt leaders.
Right.
One thing that is taking us to the ballot is making a difference, because the future is now hand. If we elect bad leaders, it means our future is dimmed and we are going to cry for another 5 years.
Right.
Yes.
Now, on that note, of course, it's very interesting that you say that, we need to have visionary leaders who want to bring change.
Yes.
And looking at probably most of the presidential candidates, without mentioning names, of course, they are telling us things that we have been told this years and over time. But there is only one leader, of course, who's coming up with a manifesto that is a bit different from other leaders. When you talk about corruption, he's saying that he's going to hang those who are corrupt. He's saying that he's coming up with an economic model, of course, on how the public debts, which is a great burden to Kenyans, will be paid. So, talking of change, is he the best, or rather, is it really, is this kind of the kind of radical change that this country needs? from your analysis, of course, from the leadership perspective.
Exactly. Now, just allow me to give you a limelight of what we need in this nation. We need radical leaders. We need leaders who can do the same thing but in a different way.
Right.
You see, when we talk about economic models, people are talking about bottom up. People are talking about, empowering Mama Mboga, Mtu wa boda boda, and sometimes I even cry for this country. If you don't tell us how, and sometimes, able look at Jubilee government, we gave them 10 years, 10 years. My friend, that was massive enough for us to see the change. But what are we feeding on right now? There's no big change. This government has brought in 10 years. We've done infrastructure. Yes, that is okay. But what about cost of living? What about that Mama Mboga? They are now telling, we are going to do this and do this. The fate of this country is only leadership that is sober. We don't need to bring all these things I've been hearing over the television, or you see snakes, poison. I love Wajakua with one thing. He's trying to make us think. Yep. Exactly. But one thing I want, really, I would have wished to have a meeting, one-on-one with him, is now the how. Because if you tell us that we are going to sugar snakes, then we do this, we do this, we do this. But you remember again, we are trying to protect wildlife on the other end in our country, and we are part of the treaty. So how is this going to be possible?
But again, talking of, maybe just to interrupt you on this, of course, when you say that we are trying to...
I know you support him so much.
No. Of course, we are trying to protect the wildlife, but again, we feed on cattle. We have the beef, mutton, of course, from the goats and the sheep and all that.
Yes.
Whatever Professor is saying, that it's something that it's not now wildlife. It's something that is now domesticated. You have viewers, I have mine.
Yes.
Something of that sort. It's not that everyone is now going on a hunting mission, of course, for the wildlife. Now you are rearing it. You are rearing it, of course, for the economic benefits that comes with it.
My friend, there is a Wildlife Protection Act in this nation, and I don't know whether you read the Constitution so well, and that is why Professor is really insisting that his first days in the office, he suspend the Constitution. So that the Constitution can give him mandate to practice all this. Practically, he has some sense. But do you know we don't need magics in this country to deliver us from the grave? We don't need magics. We have enough resources for this nation. Right. And you remember President Uhuru Kenyatta saying that we are losing 12 billion per day. Every day we are losing 2 billion, right? 2 billion every day. What does that show you? That we have enough resources. But some few cartels, some political class, some people have said, no, we are not going to allow these kind of guys. We are not going to allow this kind. That's now Mama Mboga, Mtu wa boda boda, the ones they are insisting that they are helping, So I don't buy his ideologies. Yep. But I just wanted, he is a professor, he knows this, and he can do it. Yes, to come up with not magics, but how are we going to tap and use the resources that we have in our nation currently. Yes.
All right. Now, it's also very important, of course, all these presidents, looking at the card of the top seat.
Yes.
We only have 4 candidates, of course, for this post. We have ODM leader Raila Odinga, we have Dr. William Ruto, of course, Professor Wajakoya, and David Mwahure Waiga. So all of them, ostensibly all of them, have released their manifestos, and now going forward, of course, now looking still at the leadership, because when Kenyans will be voting, some of them will be voting on the personality. Most of them, probably those who are sober enough, will be voting based on the manifestos. Which probably manifesto, just on a light note, do you really feel that well articulates the needs and the desires that this country has?
Wow, amazing. the only manifesto for this nation is the basic need of me and you, all the citizens of this nation. And my basic need and your basic need, number one, is food.
Right.
You cannot talk about economy if you have not addressed the exact needs of the nation. And our nation right now is about economy. Our economy is deteriorating. Yep. So I've seen Kenya Kwanza. Their manifesto is good. The one that is touching on the economy. I've seen Azimio and even all these other candidates. The economy is good. But you see all these manifestos, one problem I have with them is that they are always on papers. When Jubilee came, what did they tell us? Oh, in 90 days we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But what happened on the ground? Kwa ground vitu tofauti.
Right.
Yes, that is what they say. But I see a leadership that is coming. I have a vision. And one day this country will get somebody who will take us to Canaan. One day we shall get one person who is going to make economic liberation.
Right.
And it is very soon. Yes. So economy, how do you change this country? Yep. How do you take us from where we are, depression, where we are right now, so that when I start a business, there's conducive environment. When you take your child to school, you are very sure the child is going to learn throughout his or her life to pursue the career they want.
Right.
That is what we are talking about. And you cannot do this if you don't have money. You can't do that.
And of course, all these revolts and good leadership, because many a times, of course, people will tell you that Kenya is among the best countries on paper. But
Exactly.
now the problem comes in implementation, and of course now that goes with leadership.
Yes.
All right. Now my director is telling me that we need to finalize this.
Yes.
But of course, to respect what she's saying. So it's important, of course, to note that from the previous data that was given by KPMG on the voter register, we are going to have a lot of first-time voters.
Yes.
And of course, some people who have only voted once, or they still the debut effect, of course, is coming is coming to play in these general elections. What advice would you be having, of course, for the first-time voters and the country at large, of course, when we headed to the August 9th polls?
I saw good number of young people taking votes for the first time. That was very good. And I was a voter educator, and I went through so many constituencies preaching the same gospel. And I told the young people that, you know what, guys, the future of this nation lies in your hand.
Right.
It is not about 50 bob. It is not about even the 500s you can be given and ferried to a rally to make noise. Because even if you give me 10,000 right now, how long will I eat that money? Only for a short duration.
Sure.
Young people, as we speak right now, the future of this country is in our hands. And it is you and me to decide what kind of leadership do we want.
Right.
Without a political affiliation, without looking at, who. I want you to look at your future in the next 5 years.
Right.
I want you to look at your future in the next 20 years. What kind of Kenya do you want? And that is a Kenya that is hopeful. I mean, when I give baton to my son or my daughter, they can say they are lived a generation. What kind of generation do we want to leave the baton to? We have to make a difference. And the only way we can make a difference is using that tool, the only weapon that we have, that voter's card, in the right way.
Right.
By choosing a visionary leader that can create a difference in this nation. Because somebody once said this, that strength does not require physical capacity, but indomitable will. Willpower is very important. Mahatma Gandhi put it so well that willpower of this nation, of the youth of this nation, can make us to make a difference. And that is what I'm expecting in the ballot come August. That is just next month, few days from now.
Right.
Yes.
And thank you so much, of course, Austin Omanya, for that great insights. Of course, Kenyans are listening, and of course, they put all these things to perspectives, and we're really hoping that they make the right decision on the polls day. All right, thank you so much for that. We're taking a very short break. Shall we come back with more?
Yo, and you others.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following on news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020 359 9054.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Now, a church in Ngoingwa Estate in Thika has embarked on rehabilitation of perennial alcoholics through embracing them in churches to offer them spiritual support to enable them come out of the vice. Bishop Julius Kamau of SEK St. Stephen's Church says that all started 2 years ago during the burial of one of the alcoholics that he presided over, whom he said that could have made a positive change to many had he focused on building his life away from alcohol.
His staggered strides would be rightly assumed to be of one hangovered from an indulgence in alcohol, now receiving the punishment of the bright morning sun. However, today he is not on course for the infamous lock removal. Today he is off to offer thanks and praises at the SEK St. Stephen's Church in Thika. Here, the theme is "Come as you are." The Savior has favor for all. Some are on their knees in prayer and repentance, as others hold a blank stare, perhaps reflecting on their lives and the impact of the word of the day.
Kwa ukweli tumekubalika kwa hii kanisa. Na watu wenye wanakuja popo wako na akili. Na nyinyi ndio mnaweza tubadilisha sisi. Lakini mnakataa. Tutabadilishwa na nani? Tungetaka sasa msimame na sisi. Hata hao wanasimama governor ama nani asimame na sisi, sababu sisi ndio bado ndio vijana wa kesho. Hao wote ni wazee, hakuna mtu ana bibi ama bwana.
Acceptance is the one gem they claim to find here compared to other areas where they meet discrimination. Some attend church while completely drunk. The group most of the time keep each other in check to ensure they all attend the sermons each Sunday.
Msa nyingi hapa Ngoingwa wamekubali sisi kama walevi. Mimi ni mlevi kawaida, mimi nakubali mimi ni mlevi, na kuna kikosi kubwa sasa hapa tunakuwa tumekubalika kwa hii kanisa. Hiyo pesa pombe inatoka wapi? Kufanya si kuiba. Kama si tungekuwa hizi tungekuwa tumekufa. Ni kweli muongo? Sasa niulize aje? Na niulize swali mzuri. Kwani sai hata ukiweka pombe hapa kama hiki tu, pombe ndio itafanya kazi? Bidangu ni makanisa na matajiri hapa, kwa sababu Ngoingwa ni matajiri. Na wakituona hapa tumesimama hapa tukigoja kazi, wanatuona tu hizi ni majangi.
Bishop Julius Kamau, their shepherd at the SEK St. Stephen's Church, says he has more than 30 followers, some of whom have been rehabilitated and are slowly helping the rest to get out of alcoholism. There is no time dedicated for offering and tithing during the church session, though Bishop Kamau prides himself in changing their lives and helping them become responsible.
Jambo moja tulisikizana na wao ni ya kwamba vile walivyo wae wanakunja. Haswa ile mlengo wetu kati ya ibada hii ni kuona ya kwamba wamebadilika, sababu wao ni wandugu na wadada wetu, ni wale ambao tumesoma na wao, ni wale ambao wametuzingira.
The alcoholics, led by Jacob Masharia, said they are happy for being embraced by the church society and were slowly getting their lives back on a positive track. He said in most cases, they are victimized for their physical appearance or regarded as criminals, saying alcoholism is a disease that leads to depression and frustration.
Na tunasomanga kanisani na tunapenda kanisa sana, lakini sasa wewe ndugu yangu, nikikuja kanisani unanikemea, nitafanya aje? Nikikuja kukupea shida yangu na kwambia sina kazi kanisani unapea mtu wa suti. Sasa nikuulize aje? Suti saa hii tuseme hapa kunataka kuchibwa choo ama sewage, nikuja na suti na tai, ikienda na sewage nitafanya nini? Nimebadilika, nimekubalika.
Bishop Kamau called on churches to come up with such empowerment and rehabilitation programs to help those affected by alcoholism and crime to save the future of the young generation. He said though it has not been a smooth journey, the initiative has been impactful to the group as it has improved on their presentation and perception of life. Emmanuel Kutosi, KUTV.
Let's now take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. Kakamega Homeboys has sacked the entire technical bench, citing discipline as the major reason. The club had parted ways with the technical bench and they will be naming the replacement soon. Sacked head coach Bernard Molala, who took over from Nicholas Muyoti in August 2021, led Homeboys to a runners-up finish in the league behind Tusker, but many cite him for the club's failure to win. The Gong having at 1 point enjoyed a healthy 11-point lead over the Brewers, only to lose it on goal difference. And the national men's basketball team, Morans, bowed out of the 2023 FIBA World Cup qualifiers after... And with that, we call it a wrap here on KUTV Primetime News. Many thanks indeed for your valid company throughout the bulletin. Our sign language tonight has been, sign language interpreter rather, has been Sharon Wamboi. My name is Omondi Otieno. And I leave you with this. Tell your friend a lie. If he keeps it, then tell him the truth. But don't expect this from politicians. They'll tell you lies. No room, no time for the truth. Have a great night. We shall be meeting here tomorrow.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following on news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020-359-9054.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience.